I'm Patty Rall, and I was born and raised in Galion, Ohio. Um, I am number four of seven children, and there were six girls and one boy, and the boy was the youngest. Um, we didn't go to church much when we were growing up, um, but we did have religious ed and BBS that we went to every summer, and that planted a lot of seeds in our life.
And I'm Mitch Rall, and I was born and raised in Upper Sandusky. I've lived here my whole life, and growing up, we went to church every week. We always went to church, and I guess for the first 38 years of my life, I felt that you live your life as well as you can, and then when you stand before the Lord, if your good outweighs your bad, then you go to heaven. And I kind of was under the assumption that what you do determines on where you spend eternity.
My childhood was rough at times. My dad was an alcoholic, and so there were some hard times back then. And but he um, went and dried out at a hospital, and he did come to know the Lord, so that was great. And so I guess that was part of the seeds that were planted too, because we did do devotions at home, and after that, and so that was all. Even though we didn't still we may have went to a couple different churches, and I think when I was a teenager, I think we went to a Baptist church in Mansfield, and um, but still never belonged to any. But we did go and hear the word and stuff, and so that all planted seeds. Even though there was a time in my life after high school that I didn't do anything with church until really we got together, and he had been going to church all the time. And but yeah, through it all, Jesus was there and just helped us through all of that. So
Well, my childhood, I'd say it was good. I was probably, I don't know, I guess it's an average teenager. I caused my mom some grief. Um, I pretty much, for like 10 years after high school, I pretty much hung out with the guys, and that pretty much involved like going to the clubs and drinking and seeing how fast your car can go and stuff like that. But I'm glad I got that out of my system before I met Patty.
um, we Mitch and I met at a disco in Bucyrus, Ohio. That's kind of what we did back then on Friday and Saturday nights, and that was the thing to do. And so we got married in 1985, and we had our only son, Michael, then.
Um,
So who spotted who?
well, she told me not to say anything, but um,
And
this was a disco, and this was BC. This was before Christ.
Okay.
So I was sitting at the bar, and Patty was sitting in a booth with three other girlfriends. And when I saw her, I knew I wanted to marry her. So I went over and I talked to her, and I asked her out later that week, and 3 years later we got married, and I guess I got my once. I wanted to marry her.
That's so awesome.
yeah. So yeah, so we got married, and then we joined a church, the church that we got married at here in Upper Sandusky. And I guess fast forward to 10 years later, um, and I went on a spiritual search, and I just had a lot of questions. And um, like, why are we here and what's it all about? And our son had been going to VBS at the church that we were going to, and for some reason they weren't having VBS that year. So I went uptown in Upper and I saw a poster that was up there, and it was for a Bible church that was having a VBS that year. So he went to that VBS, and then the pastor would come and visit us. And he'd come down a few times, and one night he asked us, he said, if you were to die tonight and stand in front of the Lord, why would he let you in? And why should he let you in? And we said, well, we're good people. We never killed anybody. And like that was the standard. And so he shared some scriptures with us. He shared Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And also Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is everlasting life. And so that night we prayed to accept Christ into our lives. That was 1995, and it was that year, that same year, that God provided a new place for us to worship here at Trinity, and He was doing a mighty work within the church that year, because that was when the church had hired Derek Hines and Nicole Dowdikin as youth pastor, and so we got plugged into Trinity, into small groups and Sunday school, and also Michael got plugged into youth group, which was very good. Yeah, so.
And I'd like to just go back to when Patty was on her spiritual search. I was pretty well content with where I was at spiritually, and this pastor would come down about once a week and visit us. And every time I saw his car coming down the street, I wanted to go run and hide, because it's like, not him again. And he would talk to us. It probably went on for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. He'd stop down once a week. And every time he left, he would say, I want you to know that we're praying for you on Tuesday nights. Our church is praying for you. And that really bugged me. It's like, what did I do? Why are you praying for me? I did not get it. And now I think the reason I do get it is because of the prayers that they were praying for us on Tuesday night. Anyhow, after coming to know the Lord in '95, I would still drink probably a couple beers every night. It was just a habit, just what I did. And I sort of convicted over the next 2 or 3 months that if Jesus came to visit me, would I want to have that? Are there certain things in my house that I wouldn't want to be there now? And I don't think I would offer Jesus a beer if he visited. And, like if you have books or videos or anything that's not God honoring, I don't want them to be found in my home. So it wasn't overnight, but it was a process. And he just impressed upon me that certain things in my life I didn't have to have, and I'm better off without. I'd say it's almost being contrary to the world, because if you look at what the world's doing and what the world wants to do, and you do almost completely the opposite, then you're doing things God's way. It's just and Jesus kind of turned the world upside down too. When he was confronting the religious leaders, what they say was law, he would say differently. So in a way, you're almost going against the grain, following Jesus.
I lost my oldest sister unexpectedly about 12 years ago, and that was a really hard time for me. And but I just stayed connected to Jesus and stayed connected to the vine through all that, and that really helped. And I don't know where I would have been if I wouldn't have had Jesus in my life to get through that.
I could say like my dad had open heart surgery. That was a trying day because when your father's going in for open heart surgery, it's like
Quadruple bypass.
quadruple
Yeah,
bypass.
yeah.
Like, is he going to make it? Are we going to have a father in 3 or 4 hours? So it's times like that you really have to put your faith in God, because if you don't have God, who do you have?
I would say just stay connected. Just find a Bible teaching church and stay connected to the vine. Yeah.
I like what Psalm 34:8 says. It says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. And what the world offers is enticing. It looks good on the surface, but it's temporary. I mean, 100 years from now, all that's going to be past, and it's not going to be around. But what the Lord offers is He wants the best for you in this life, and it's going to be even better in the next life. So just taste and see that the Lord is good. He can
Stay
be trusted.
connected. Yeah. Mm-hmm.